Social entrepreneurs want to change the world. At Noosphere Marketing, we believe social media is one path to help them get there. Visionary organizations need visionary marketing.
My name's Donnie McClurkin. I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I wrote a couple of books earlier this year, had them published. One's Nanotechnology and Global Equality, and another one that I co-edited was called Nanotechnology and Global Sustainability. In fact, the conclusions of my first book were that we need to innovate without economic growth, and so the second book picked that up and looked at nano-innovation outside of that economic growth paradigm, and looked at things like open source nanotechnology, traditional knowledge systems and nanotechnology, and the intersection there. And that's, I think, an exciting aspect of the broader work that I do now. So I co-direct the Post-Growth Institute, which is an international group looking to inspire futures beyond economic growth. And we work on various things from social experiments like Free Money Day, which happens on September 15th every year, where people hand out their own coins and notes two at a time to complete strangers, asking them to pass one on, just to shock some thinking around money, monetary systems, exchange, etc. We're just about to launch howonearth.us, which is an online database of around 5,000 things around the world that we've observed that are already catalyzing futures beyond economic growth. And now I'm also working on a macroeconomic model or framework in particular of non-accumulation. So if we live in a world in which we have finite resources, how can we not then need to talk about having an economic framework beyond capitalism, one that actually is non-accumulative, that actually looks at equity and justice in terms of the need to degrow our economies in the global north in a prosperous way to ensure convergence around biocapacity limits that are existing in nature. Equality and sustainability can't be separated, and it's actually because of the concept of status envy. So whilst you have inequality of certain ranges in the world, you will always have increased consumption across the board, whilst people are trying to emulate what other people, usually in positions of power, are saying is what people need to do in terms of their lifestyles. So sustainability in terms of sustainable futures really means having a foundation of much greater equality in terms of resource distribution and also access to resources, which is obviously a challenge at the moment in terms of the distribution, the access to resources in terms of that distribution that exists presently. My heroes in the field of sustainability and in terms of working towards greater equality range around people like Vandana Shiva, E.F. Schumacher, Janine Beines, Rachel Botsman, Bill Mollison, a lot of the people in the permaculture space, people in the asset-based approach to community development, really inspiring. Wangari Maathai, Green Belt movement, these sorts of people. I particularly like following the work of people who allow their feminine energy to emerge in this space, because I feel that that's an important part of transitioning to sustainable futures, is to engage with the sacred feminine, and to do that in a powerful way that comes in with the masculine at times too. There are lots of things that piqued my interest in engaging with issues of limits to growth, etc. The one that comes to mind is when I was about 12 years of age. I used to go around to local throwouts and collect materials. There are lots of exciting things people were throwing out. Walkmans back in the day. I remember getting a little chisel set, all sorts of things. And then one day I found $15 worth of coins, US coins, being thrown out. People actually throwing out money. And I think that's one of the ones that I remember going, wow, we really do live in a crazy throwaway society. We need to be looking at prosperous ways forward that draw on existing strengths, just like Adam Smith did when he defined the principles of capitalism. Draw on the things around to talk about alternative futures that are non-accumulative, that understand we have limits to growth, that we can't innovate our way out of this fast enough given the kinds of limitations we have around technological innovation, and that this is a bigger challenge. That underneath all of these things lies an opportunity for us to actually take our development of consciousness as a global community to a different level, to actually understand there are non-destructive and mutually supporting ways to engage with ego, these sorts of big challenges. So that's that's sort of how all my work mishmashed into the kind of work I'm looking at the moment. I believe I like Gramsci's line along these lines that I'm a pessimist of the mind and an optimist of the heart. Not in binaries either way. I would say in all reality, with the pessimist of the mind thing, that we've maybe got less than 1% chance of actually getting through this without some kind of major catastrophe that's man-made. But my work is focused on that 1%. I'm not really that interested in the 99% of probability that this won't work out well for us. I'm interested in exploring that beautiful 1% of hope that, as I said, starts with looking, from my perspective, starts with looking at all the amazing things that are already happening around us that do equate to sustainability.